Hello and warm welcome to everyone joining us today. I'm your host Dalvinder Kaur from lovely Professional University. We are excited to have you with us and look forward to an engaging and insightful session. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into today's topic storage in Google Cloud. Before we proceed further, allow me to introduce the experts of the day, Dr. Gunsirat Kaur, Assistant Professor at Lovely Professional University. With a strong academic and practical background, she has actively guided students in various innovative projects and more. Her dynamic teaching approach and subject expertise contribute significantly to fostering a culture of innovation and excellence at the university. So now I would like to introduce Mr. Sai Subramaniam also in this webinar. Welcome, Mr. Sai Subramaniam. He is expert in Google Cloud with extensive experience mentoring both graduate students and industry professionals. He is dedicated to imparting industry relevant knowledge, ensuring that learners gain practical insights aligned with the real world demands. Before we proceed further in today's session, I would like to request everyone for any questions you can write in the chat box or in the Q&A box, and same will be addressed from my side in the end of this webinar. Now I'm going to hand over this session to our experts, Dr. Gunsirat Kaur and Mr. Sai Subramaniam, and it would be an absolute delight to listen from them. Over to you both.
Hello, everyone. So today we are talking about storage and cloud, which is a prominent topic that we have in the industry right now. Mr. Sai over here, he's an expert, and he will be talking about how you have use cases of storages, different types of storages that we use in cloud. Generally, we only have one idea in cloud, which is when you store something, you happen to put it on cloud, which is your Google Drive or maybe OneDrive, and that's all. But understanding what are the deeper technical aspects of this is quite important. So I would ask Mr. Sai to kindly start with the topic that we have at hand today.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, hello everyone. I believe today's topic we are going to get the understanding on storage in the cloud. So everyone understands what is a storage. It is nothing but where we are going to store our data. Interestingly, if you see, yeah, Google Cloud, yeah, gives you different types of storage. It starts with cloud storage, and we have Cloud SQL, and we can very well say cloud spanner, and we have cloud firestore, cloud bigtable. And once we complete getting the understanding on these different types of storages, we can do some comparison the way or which storage can be better for which yeah application. So to start off with, the basic question comes in our mind: why do we need yeah different types of storage? Right? Because the very easy answer is all the application yeah doesn't stores, process, and retrieves the same type of data. So before we yeah try to elaborate the different types of storage, we need to understand what are the different types of yeah data that we have, because we know very well the data storage, the data retrieval, and the application differs with the domain. For example, in banking domain, we need to store the data in a different way. And if it is in a different domain, for example, if it is in a share market, the data is to be stored in a different way. Obviously, we need the different types of data with the different types of features and attributes. That's the way how we understand not all the application stores the same type of data. And we know very well through the application we are going to process. When I say process, it means that we are going to retrieve the data from the appropriate storage. The application will process yeah the data, and once it is processed, yeah, it will be stored back to the same storage medium or the same type of storage. So interestingly, we need to understand what are the different types of data, as I said earlier. So we have structured data, and we have unstructured data. And moving towards the third one, you can see transactional data. And lastly, you can see, as per the slide, it talks about relational data. So from this, we understood, though we say data, data differs with the domain, and the data differs with the way how you want to store that in the appropriate storage. Let us say, for example, when you say structured data, what does it mean? I would like to store my data in a more organized way. That's what we mean with structured data. What do you mean by unstructured? For example, based on my business workload, I am in a position where I want to store, yeah, the data, which can be in the form of audio files, it can be in the form of video files, or even it can be in the form of photos, that can be in the form of JPG or PNG. There are different types of format. So my idea here is I want to store the data, yeah, which is unstructured. Whenever we say unstructured, it means that the data is not in the form of only numbers and the text. It can be in the form of images, it can be in the form of videos, it can be in the form of audios. All these things can be categorized under unstructured data. What is transactional data? For example, when the data is getting processed, yeah, in macro level, let us say, for example, in the banking domain, yeah, every transaction that you need, I mean, that you do, will be in the form of processing those types of data, what we call it as an transactional data. And lastly, you see relational data. I guess everyone might have heard about the word called relation. And of course, I would like to store the data which has the two-dimensional representation. It is in the form of row and column. So now from this, we understood, though we say data, data is not common for every business, and data is not common the way how it looks, because the application has to retrieve the data, the application has to process the data, and the application has to finally store back the data into the appropriate storage. So because of this, yeah, Google has given n number of storage, as I have listed already. It starts with cloud storage, cloud SQL, cloud spanner, cloud firestore, cloud big table. So these are the different storage that the Google Cloud has. I believe you understood, yeah, why we need to understand what type of data and what are the different types of data that the Google Cloud has. Hope we can move forward, yeah, as if we can start discussing right from the first one, what we call it as a cloud storage. And interestingly, if you see all these storage, which is very much called as a database, yeah, service, or in simple we can call that as an storage or database storage, or in simple we can call that as database as a service. The other interesting name that we use when we learn the Google Cloud is nothing but service. What do you mean by the term called service? Service is nothing but anything that you use in the Google Cloud, and that has n number of sorry, inbuilt features. Like that, if you see, cloud storage is one type of storage which is very much has a inbuilt feature of managed scalable service. The interesting one more term called scalable here. What is a scalable? Based on the incoming data, it automatically enhances by itself. So you may ask a question, what is the beauty of this feature? It means that when you work in a normal on-premises model, it means that the database administrator should have a plan of, yeah, how much incoming data that comes to the database, and he has to have a plan of how much he can store, or he has to have a design of how he can work on the database. But all those challenges are gone because the cloud storage itself has an inbuilt feature of scalable. What is a scalable here? It automatically enhances or it increases by itself based on the incoming data. It automatically does that. One of the important challenge when you work in the on premises, in order to have an idea how do I fit this data into the existing database, all those challenges are gone. That's what I said. service is an important term, and whenever you look into a term called service, and especially whenever we say scalable service, it means that automatically it enhances by itself based on the incoming data. So cloud storage is a fully managed scalable service. And you may ask a question next. What are the areas where I can go by using sorry, this cloud storage? So cloud storage, yeah, you can use, for example, when you want to build a dynamic website content, or let us say, for example, you work in an organization and you want to store the backup of the data. That's what you can say, archival and disaster recovery. Or whenever I would like to allow the users to directly download their data into their existing dashboard, yeah, where I can very much go by using a special type of storage which has a inbuilt quality of managed scalable service. So cloud storage can store any type of data what I have listed already. It can be in the form of a structured, it can be in the form of an unstructured, or it can be in the form of a transactional, or even it can be in the form of an relational. But quite interestingly, cloud storage can store both structured and unstructured data. That's what it has, a well beautiful meaning called managed scalable service. And below I have listed the different use cases of this cloud storage, which is a very important storage in the Google Cloud, which helps you to store the data. That's what we mean with it can be used for creating a dynamic website content. Why do I say the word called dynamic? Because you keep changing the data, you keep changing the videos and audios that are a part of your website. So whenever I want to do that dynamically, because I may add a new data or I may delete an existing data. That's what cloud storage has an important property called scalability. It will automatically adjust and automatically it will enhance based on the incoming data. That's what we mean with the cloud storage is a fully managed scalable service. Hope I move forward. Yeah. So the other name, yeah, for this cloud storage, especially in the Google Cloud Learning, we call them as an object storage. What do you mean by object storage? Interestingly, it is very much called as an blob. I guess you might people might have, yeah, encountered this term, what we call it as a binary large object storage. Yeah, what does it mean? It means that this cloud storage can be used in order to store the structured and unstructured. That's what I have listed. It can be very much used, yeah, whenever you want to store the online content. Or let us say, for example, I would like to store the backup and archiving data that happens to my client database. In that case, you can go by using cloud storage. And let's say, for example, your application process, yeah, your complex queries, and you want to store the intermediate results. If that is the case, then yeah, cloud storage can be the best choice in the Google Cloud, where you can store the intermediate results. And the interesting point here is cloud storage can be used in order to store both your structured and unstructured. And if it is unstructured, it can be in the form of an binary large object storage. And the other name of cloud storage is very much called as an object storage. Okay, so now we understood the baseline idea behind what is cloud storage, and the way how I can store the different types of data into the cloud storage. Now, how do we start working with this cloud storage? In order to start working with the cloud storage in the Google Cloud, yeah, especially when you work with this cloud storage, we need to understand one more term, what we call it as a bucket. Whenever you say a term called bucket, it means that you're working with a storage called cloud storage. So now cloud storage is nothing but where I'm going to create a bucket. So what do you mean by bucket here? Bucket is the place where I'm going to store all my files. It is so simple. If you go for a, yeah, department store, you carry a bucket. In the bucket, yeah, you put all your objects. The same idea here. I create a bucket. Inside the bucket, yeah, I can add my files. Files are very much called here in the form of an object. So whenever you want to work with cloud storage, first you need to create a bucket. So when you create a bucket, you need to tell the geographical location. What is geographical location here? You know very well, I have an application, I have a database. So obviously the application and database will interact. Correct. So now, whenever you work in cloud, especially in Google Cloud, and especially when you're working with cloud, I mean cloud storage, you are supposed to create a bucket. So when you create a bucket, you need to tell the geographical location. What does it mean? The physical location. Because let us take, for example, your application runs in US region. You can create the bucket in, yeah, APAC region. What is region? Region is the place where you create the bucket. So location is mapped in terms of region. So geographical location here, you're telling the physical location where you can have the bucket. You may ask a question, can I have multiple location? Yes. Can I have one single location? Yes. Everything is based on the user choice. But you need to have a clarity. When I start working with bucket, I should tell the geographical location. This is one of the important property. Other than that, yeah, your bucket should have a unique name, because in Google Cloud, we categorize the resources in three types. We say global resource, we say regional resource, we say zonal resource. Not only for bucket, any of the global resource, yeah, it should have a unique name. What even by global? You can store, yeah, or you can create the bucket across any of the data centers. If it falls under the global resource, then it should have a unique name. So we understood what is cloud storage. The other name of cloud storage is nothing but an object storage. When I start working with object storage, it is nothing but a bucket. For a bucket, you need to tell the physical location, I mean the geographical location. And for every bucket, yeah, you should give a unique name. As you can see here, these are the two important properties or attributes being a user of the bucket I should remember. So you can see as if the diagram itself tells about a bucket is there where you can add the different objects inside the bucket. Hope you understood, yeah, what is bucket and what do you mean by geographical location, and why should I be, yeah, giving a unique name, yeah, because this bucket falls under global resource. Hope you understood. Moving forward, yeah, this is the way best understanding on what we mean with the other important feature of cloud storage object. Cloud storage objects are immutable. What is immutable? Once you created or once you stored an object inside the bucket, you cannot directly edit that. But interestingly, you can store the multiple versions of the same object. Yeah, so it means that you can store the older version, and if you do any changes to the object, automatically the new object which got changed, what we call it as version 2. Yeah, you can store the version 1 and you can store the version 2. So it means that you cannot directly edit the object because these are immutable. Then how do you edit? You create the new version of the same object. So at the time of creating the object, I can go by enabling one more important feature called object versioning. When you enable the object versioning, it means that I am trying to store the multiple versions of the same object. Now you may ask a question, why do I enable this feature? Let us say, for example, you are given a task, yeah, where your application wants to store the different values of the same data that changes in terms of time. I will give you a simple example. I am assigning you a task, yeah, to record today's temperature, yeah, whenever it changes. So 9 o'clock, the temperature is some value. 9:30 it changes. 10:30 it changes. 11 o'clock it changes. So now I don't want to change only, I mean, I don't want to store only their last value, but instead I want to store all the values. That's what I mean with version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4. So at 9 o'clock, my version 1 is there, 9:30 version 2, 10 o'clock version 3, and 11 o'clock version 4. So I would like to store the all the versions of the same object. So if I want to store the multiple versions of the same object, I can enable one of the important feature called object versioning. That is another important feature of this storage, what we call it as an cloud storage. So for cloud storage, you should tell the geographical location, and the bucket name should be a unique name. Other than that, there is one important feature called object versioning, which helps you to store the multiple versions of the same object. Yeah. So whatever I said that has been given here, object versioning keeps a record of modification. Whenever any change happens to the data, automatically it creates the version, and that's the way how do I store the history of the same objects. For example, you guys know, yeah, very well, there is a department called meteorological department in India where they record the rainfall, weather, temperature. So now if you go and ask them what is the same rainfall that happened in the year 2000, yeah, they have the record. How? Because they store the entire history. In these are the used cases where you can understand, yeah, where the cloud storage can be used. So object versioning, yeah, not only helps you to keep changing the value, it can store the history of the entire object. That is another important feature of the storage, what we call it as an cloud storage. Okay, hope you understood yeah, what is cloud storage and what is bucket, and we give a unique name. There is a feature called object versioning which helps you to store the history and the different versions of the same object. So whenever you go by creating a cloud storage, the other important parameter you should understand is class, because based on the class, yeah, you will be charged, and based on the class, yeah, I can also save the money. Let us say, for example, you create a bucket, and you know very well, yeah, you want to, or your application is going to process the data again and again and again. That's what we call it as an hot data. So whenever you want to tell what should be the class for the cloud storage bucket that you create, there are four different classes as you can see here: standard storage, nearline storage, coldline storage, and archive storage. Now, when do I choose a standard storage? That's what I said. Let us take, for example, your client application or your business application wants to process the data again and again and again. Yeah, 24 bar 7, 365 days. If that is the case, better you can keep the class as standard storage. That's what we refer that as an hot data. No, I am sure that, yeah, I'm going to store the data, or I'm going to access the data once in a month. If that is the case, then you can go by keeping the class as nearline storage. So it means that once per month. Or I know very well I'm going to access the data once in 90 days. If that is the case, then I can prefer the storage class as cold line. No, I'm going to store this data as a backup data. Every organization, you know very well, yeah, they have a practice of backing up their data. So now in your organization also, they want to back up the data. So what you can do, so you can go by using the cloud storage, and you can fix the class as archive storage. It means that you are going to access the data once in a year. Why we are so specific on this class? Class gives you the pricing, class gives you the durability. So standard storage, nearline storage, cold line storage, and archive storage. So based on the way, or based on your business model, or based on your business application, you can choose what type of storage that matches to the bucket, and that's the way how you can, yeah, keep the storage class for the bucket. Now you may ask a question, what will happen if I don't choose any of the appropriate class? That should be a default yeah, class that should be assigned, right? The default class, yeah, that is assigned very much to a bucket is nothing but the standard storage. So based on the class, you will be charged, or you will be priced, and other than that, the durability. So keeping these two things in mind and understanding the business application how it works, you can choose the appropriate class, the way how you can store the data in the form of an object inside your cloud storage bucket. Hope you guys are getting with what I'm saying. Let me move forward. Yeah. Other than the storage class, whatever I have listed in the previous slide, like standard storage, nearline, core line, archiving, whichever storage class that you choose, that's what you are listed here. It has some common properties. What is common properties? Unlimited storage. What is unlimited storage here? We know very well, we understood object, right? So there is no limit for the object size. And once you created a bucket, you can access from any geographical location. And what is the time taken to access the object inside the bucket? Low latency, high durability. At any point of time, the data cannot be distracted if you store in the form of an cloud storage bucket. Irrespective of the storage class, you get a uniform experience across all the classes. And the geographical redundancy, this is another important feature. Automatically it replicates the data to some other reason, for the application to run on 24 bar 7. Let us say, for example, in one of the physical place where you created a bucket, there is earthquake happens. So don't think that your data will lost, because automatically it replicates. That's what we mean with geographical redundancy, and it stores in the multiple location. So these are some of the common features that you can see, other than the special features what I have listed earlier. Okay, now we come to the last part of this cloud storage. How do I add data into my cloud storage bucket? There is a method called online transfer. This is one method through which you can add a data into your bucket, or there is a service called storage transfer service through which you can add a data into a bucket, or transfer appliance. This is another method through which you can add a data into the bucket. So that's the idea behind cloud storage, which is very much called as an object storage. So this is very important storage in the Google Cloud, which helps you to store the data that can be in the form of an structured, or even you can go by using the cloud storage for storing the unstructured. Hope I can move forward towards the cloud SQL. Cloud SQL is very much called as an RDBMS. Sorry. As everyone is aware of what is RDBMS, the cloud SQL is very much called as a relational database management service which runs in the Google Cloud. That's what you can see. Whenever we say cloud SQL, it is nothing but relational database. And here, the Cloud SQL is very much available in the Google Cloud Platform, which is flavored in the form of MySQL, PostgreSQL, or SQL Server. So these are the different flavors of the Cloud SQL. The very important point related to Cloud SQL is nothing but it stores the data in a structured way. We know very well what is structured. When I, let us say, for example, I give you a practical example. Whenever you go for an airport, you know very well the entire airport is more structured, well organized. There is a separate departure gate. There is a separate arrival gate, and you get into the airport, you just see the signboard and it tells you in which gate, which flight that starts from that location to the appropriate location. What I'm trying to say here is this, what I mean with structured. All the relational database stores the data in the form of a structured. So here, if you see the relational database, which is nothing but the cloud SQL, which is very much available in the form of MySQL, PostgreSQL, and SQL Server. Interestingly, this is another important service that comes from the Google Cloud. So Google takes care of applying the patches. So you simply use that as a service. No need to worry on if for example, how do I upgrade MySQL from one version to other version? We don't bother on that. Google gives you support on that. How do I manage the backup? You don't bother on that. Google has a strategy as if it automatically updates the backed up data if you go by storing that in the form of cloud SQL. And how do I manage the replication? What is replication? Storing the data or replicating the data more than once. All these activities are very much mandate, which is a great support that is given by Google. So now simply when you compare the tremendous activities that you do in your on premises, so the DBA, database administrator, will have so much of challenges when they work in the on premises, but The same thing, his challenges are much reduced when you go by using the appropriate storage, especially the Cloud SQL, which helps you to store the data in a more structured way. Okay, so there are many reasons for you to use Cloud SQL, because I don't want to install any separate software. No need to do any maintenance. No need to do any configuration. Simply as like I can use this as a database service. And if you want to understand what is the real power of this Cloud SQL, you can see it runs in a machine that has 128 processor with 864 GB of RAM and 64 TB of storage. Now, how much storage that I can use in my Cloud SQL? 64 terabytes of data, and automatically it has the replication and encrypts the customer data. What is encryption? Automatically, the data is much encrypted when it travels from your network towards the Google's network. Obviously it travels through the internet, so no need to panic. It is encrypted. So these are the other reasons why we suggest whenever we want to go by using the structured way of storing the data in the Google Cloud, it is nothing but the Cloud SQL. So earlier I was talking about cloud storage, which can be used in order to store your structured and unstructured. But whenever we talk on Cloud SQL, it is very much for storing the data in a structured, and that too it's an RDBMS, relational database management service. And the other important feature of this Cloud SQL can be integrated and accessible by other Google Cloud services and the external services. Let us say, for example, you work in an organization where you have a special application. The special application has to integrate with my Cloud SQL. Is it possible? Yes. That's what we mean with Cloud SQL instances are accessible by other Google Cloud and even external services. No need to worry on the configuration, no need to worry on customization. Everything can be done very easily. That much flexibility you can see in your Cloud SQL. So that's the power of Cloud SQL. Hope I can move towards the next important entity called Cloud Spanner. Hope you understood cloud storage. Hope you got the idea behind Cloud SQL. Now we are in the discussion of Cloud Spanner. This is also the other important relational database service, which has an inbuilt feature of horizontal scalability with strong consistency. Now, irrespective of whether it is a Cloud SQL or Cloud Spanner, how do I interact with that? Obviously, it speaks through SQL. Everyone knows what is SQL, structured query language. Now, the next interesting question comes in your mind. Cloud SQL is also an RDBMS. Cloud Spanner is also RDBMS. Then in these two, which I'm supposed to choose it? See, whenever you should see the different database, first you understand what are the different features, and other than that, you should know what type of application that the client is using. Accordingly, you can suggest what type of database, storage that can be used. Coming back to the idea, when do I use a Cloud SQL and when do I use Cloud Spanner? I will tell you an interesting example. If the client wants to store only the data in a structured, and that too, the client application is going to use only one single database, which is very much stored in a structured, then the best choice is Cloud SQL. No. My client is going to go with multiple databases. Though he wants to store the data in a structured, he wants to go with multiple tables, multiple joins, multiple indexes. Yeah, that's what you can see. Scales horizontally. You can add a number of new databases, or if you want to work with multiple databases, but still you want to store the data in a more structured way, the best choice is Cloud Spanner. The other important feature, if the data is more than 64 TB, what I said, the limit for Cloud SQL 64 TB. So if it is with more than 64 TB, and if the client wants to go with multiple databases, but still he wants to go by using structured way of storing the data, the best choice is Cloud Spanner. So Cloud SQL and Cloud Spanner both falls under relational database management service, which is nothing but one of the important storage service in the Google Cloud. Whatever I said has been given here. Applications that require spanner is especially for built-in high availability with strong global consistency. So for example, I want to do more number of IOPS, input output operations per second. So irrespective, whenever we talk from the database perspective, it is in the form of thousands of reads and writes per second. So it is more interestingly, whenever I want to do any of the OLTP, online transaction processing, in all those cases, yeah, the cloud spanner can be used very much. Hope we can move towards yeah, the cloud Firestore. Cloud Firestore is very much called as a NoSQL cloud database. Earlier, what I said, Cloud SQL and Cloud Spanner is a RDBMS, Relational Database Management Service. But Cloud Firestore is very much called as a NoSQL cloud database. What does it mean? No need to worry on writing an SQL in order to fetch the data. That's what we mean with the NoSQL cloud database. So Cloud Firestore, where do I use this Cloud Firestore? Whenever you work with any of the mobile and web development project, yeah, where I should have a flexibility and where I should have a horizontal scalability, and that too I should not break my head to write my SQL. If that is the case, then the best choice in the Google Cloud is nothing but your Cloud Firestore. So whenever you work with NoSQL, especially Cloud Firestore, we go by using another important term called a document, because here we don't, yeah, say the term whatever that is related to the relational database. Here it is very much called as a document. Every document will have a document ID as like the primary key in your RDBMS. So here we have a document. All the incoming data towards the Cloud Firestore is very much categorized in the form of a document, and it is yeah, stored in the form of a collection. So whenever you work with Cloud Firestore, we have a collection ID, and in that collection we have a document which is very much called as a document ID. So where do I use this Cloud Firestore? So how do I retrieve that? As you can see, you can retrieve the individual document as like individual record. Retrieve all the documents in a collection. So there we say a table, here we say a collection. And every document will have a document ID. For example, I want to do a filter. I want to do multiple, yeah, document that can be included. Can I do that? Yes. So you can do filtering, you can do sorting, and if you want to do the index, it automatically done based on the default. So it is so simple to work with Cloud Firestore whenever I don't want to write an SQL where I want to fetch my document. And that too, if I want to work with NoSQL, what does it mean? I mean, the very interesting point here is Cloud Firestore is nothing but a NoSQL database, which is very much available in the Google Cloud, where you can store it, and especially it is very much used for mobile related and web development project. We come to the next yeah, NoSQL database, what we call it as a Cloud Bigtable. Cloud Bigtable is also called as a NoSQL database, but here the other name you can see, it is very much called as a big data database service. What do you mean by big data database service? For example, yeah, think that you work in a project which is very much related to IoT. You know very well, whenever we say IoT, so the sensor, I'm using that as a input. From the sensor I get the input, and I want to convert the sensor input signal into the relevant data. If that is the case, that's what we mean with Cloud Bigtable, which is very much used as one of the important service in big data database service, which has all these inbuilt features. It has a massive workload. What do you mean by massive workload? A number of applications at the same time can access the data at the same time. Low latency, the time taken to retrieve the data is very less. High throughput, it gives you the performance up to 99.9. Where do I use this Cloud Bigtable? Whenever my application, yeah, where I'm doing an analytical type of activities. Analytical, you know very well, I do a comparison. So analytical types of application or operational applications where still I don't know, I don't want to store the data in a structured, or I don't want to write a query to fetch the data. In all these cases, you go by using this Cloud Bigtable. So Cloud Firestore and Cloud Bigtable falls under NoSQL database service in the Google Cloud, whereas Cloud SQL and Cloud Spanner falls under RDBMS and Cloud Storage falls under Object Storage. Why customers choose a Cloud Big Table? As you can see, we work with NoSQL data, work with more than 1 TB of semi-structured or structured. So even Cloud Big Table can help you to store structured and semi-structured, and runs machine learning algorithm on the data. So the other interesting point where the usage of Cloud Big Table comes whenever I work in a project related to IoT and machine learning algorithms, ML, yeah, AI and ML and IoT, all these places where the Cloud Big Table falls the usage in it. As you can see, data is a time series. Just now I said, whenever I want to store the data, which is, yeah, based on the time, it keeps changing. In those places, we go by using Cloud Big Table. So as you can see, streaming data, the incoming data, that is very much stored in my Cloud Big Table. And you see, I can use that in Cloud Data Flow, or I can write a streaming in the form of Spark Strom. What does it mean? I can use, yeah, any type of data in my big table, whether it is a streaming data. What is streaming data? Just now I said my sensor emits a signal. Contiguous, continuous data is very much called as a streaming data. Those data can also be captured inside your big table. Or batch processing. What is batch processing? For example, at a stretch, I store 10 TB of data. This is what we mean with batch processing. So the Cloud Big Table can accept, or you can put the input, but that can be in the form of streaming, contiguous, or it can be in the form of bulk insertion, what we call it as batch processing, which helps you to read and write. In those cases, we go by using Cloud Big Table. Hope you got the fair enough idea what we mean with cloud storage, Cloud SQL, Cloud Spanner, Cloud Firestore, and Cloud Big Table. If you see this list, let me repeat it. Cloud storage is called as an object storage. Cloud SQL and Cloud Spanner is very much called as an RDBMS, whereas Cloud Firestore and Cloud Big Table is very much called as a NoSQL database that is very much available in the form of a storage in Google Cloud. Just to have a clarity, we come to the last part of the discussion where we try to compare, yeah, the different storage options what we have seen so far. So these are the different storage that we have discussed. We started with cloud storage, then we talked on Cloud SQL, then we talked on Cloud Spanner, then we talked on Cloud Firestore, then we talked on Cloud Big Table. If you want to compare, you can see, as I said just now, cloud storage, there is no limit for the object. For example, each object can be up to 5 TB. Cloud SQL, it fully supports OLTP, online transaction processing. You see the capacity up to 64 TB. So if any of the client wants to go with the storing the data in a structured up to 64 TB, then the best choice is Cloud SQL. For example, if it is more than 64 TB, then yeah, it is Cloud Spanner, which is in the form of petabytes. Cloud Firestore in the form of terabytes, and the Cloud Big Table, which can accept both streaming and batch data, and that in the form of petabytes. So I understand there are different types of storage options that is very much available in the Google Cloud, and I understand my client business. I understand his requirement, and I can come back to the Google Cloud and I can see there are different storage options that I have. So based on all these things, I can suggest or I can make the client to use the appropriate storage where he can run his business application along with the database in the Google Cloud. Hope you understood, yeah, the different types of storage that the Google Cloud has. Yeah, so hope I have ended my discussion.
Yes, I said it was good.
Thank you so much. Anything you want to add, Dr. Gunsirat Kaur? Thank you so much, Mr. Sai Subramaniam.
I
Yeah,
think
thanks.
he's covered all the aspects. I should not be putting any more further. I think we can take up the Q&A.
Yeah, as I can see, there are some questions from our participants. Can we take the questions, Mr. Sai and Dr. Gunsirat Kaur?
Yes.
Sure.
Thanks for giving me a chance to address your questions. Now, let's start with first question. Gurpreet is asking, what are the different types of storage options available in Google Cloud, and how do they differ in terms of use cases and pricing?
Yeah, that's what I said. See, just now I have listed cloud storage, which is very much called as an object storage, cloud SQL, cloud spanner, which is very much called as a database service, and the cloud Firestore and cloud Bigtable falls under NoSQL. And every storage has their use case. As I said, whenever you want to store the data in a structured and organized way, yeah, we can better think about cloud SQL and cloud spanner. And if I want to store the unstructured, then the best choice is cloud storage. Still, I don't want to write an SQL to fetch the data, then you can think about cloud Firestore and cloud Bigtable. And based on the read and write that you do, you will be charged. That's the way you can see Google Cloud has different storage, and normally all the storage, the way how you will be charged based on the number of, yeah, reads and writes that the database does in the form of an SQL operation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sai Subramaniam. So Radhika is with us. Radhika is asking, how does Google Cloud Storage ensure data security and
Yeah,
integrity for stored objects?
very good. Yeah, let me answer this question. If you listen to the discussion, I was talking about something like encryption. What do you mean by encryption? Encryption talks about the security. What do you mean by encryption? It means that your data is covered. See, by default, all the storage that we have listed so far has an inbuilt feature of data encryption. The data is encrypted. For example, from your network, if the data is reaching towards the Google's network, let us say, for example, you are running a database in one of the region in Google, you are in a different network. So we know very well, obviously it travels through the internet. That's what I said. By default, Google gives you the security in terms of giving you an important feature called data encryption. What is encryption? Only the authorized people can get into, and moreover, if it travels in the open internet also, it is encrypted. Yeah, and that's the way how it manages the integrity, because since the data is encrypted, yeah, there is no loss of data, no one can hack the data, and that's the way how it manages and maintains you, and it gives you the security and integrity.
Thank you so much. I hope, Radhika, you got your answer from our today's expert, which is Sai Subramaniam. Mr. Sai, Saurabh Gaba is with us. Saurabh is asking, which storage option is recommended for hosting static website content?
Yeah, see, cloud storage is the best choice, where you can go by using both for static and dynamic. The best choice can be with cloud storage. Why? Because cloud storage always supports both the data that can be in the form of structured and unstructured. So even for static and dynamic, the best choice in the Google Cloud is nothing but your cloud storage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sai Subramaniam. I hope, Saurabh Gaba, you got your answer from our today's expert. Dr. Gunsirat, if you want to add something in this, you can.
Well, as Sai sir has already answered the queries quite well, I don't think so there's any more requirement to be added. Uh, it's a good topic that we have come across, and we have got to learn a lot from Sai sir only. I think.
So I hope, yeah, I can surely say this. All the participants got the answer from our today's expert, Mr. Sai Subramaniam and Dr. Gunsirat Kaur. If anyone have any questions regarding the admissions, they just write on us at admissions@lpu.co.in, and you can do WhatsApp chat with us. Our WhatsApp number is 985256900. I'm repeating the number. It's 985256900. And once again, thanks to our experts, Dr. Kunsirat and Mr. Sai Subramanian. As we come to the end of this webinar, I want to express my deepest gratitude to our experts for sharing their valuable insights and expertise with us. Your presence, enthusiasm, and active participation have made this experience truly special. Hopefully, the attendees found this webinar to be valuable and will be able to utilize the information for better decision making regarding admissions. If anyone wants to access this webinar again, they can visit our website, that is lpu.in, or can be accessed on YouTube also. Stay connected with us for future webinars. Until we meet again, with the permission of my seniors, I would be signing off this webinar. Take care and goodbye. Have a great day.